Money Matters on FOSS 107 with Hinckley and Rugby Building Society.
So here we go. A very good morning to Colin Fife from Hinckley and Rugby Building Society in Money Matters. Good morning, Colin.
Good morning, Mark.
And lovely to see you on this wonderful morning. And today, it's kind of a role reversal today because today we're going to be talking about financial difficulty. And I feel I'm more an expert in that than you are. So if you're happy, so tell us, I mean, I know we started off with quite a light-hearted conversation, but it is a very, very stressful time for people that hit money worries. And obviously, when you're talking about the worst case scenarios, you could lose the roof over your head. It is a very stressful time. And it's important that we take certain steps, isn't it, to try and avoid, the stress that we're in. And what's your advice to somebody that suddenly, possibly through no fault of their own, finds themselves in some financial difficulty, as we're all kind of experiencing at the moment?
Yes, and we are, and I think particularly in the lead up to Christmas, you know, there's a temptation every year, perhaps to spend more than you should on kids, or just make it, you know, a good part of the year. But then January comes and the bills come. And the risk is that people don't face up to it at that moment. And that is the number one thing to do. Not to put the bills in the drawer, not to rip them up, but to actually face it and say, I have got an issue here and I need to address it. And with some good planning and opening up to the people you've borrowed from, that is the number one way to deal with it. Because all of those lenders have a strong responsibility to work with individuals to make sure that they can work their way through those debt challenges. And that is a responsibility that each of those lenders should be taking very, very seriously. We're regulated on it. We're monitored on it. We've got real strong guidelines. So therefore, there are teams that are trained in how to support the public through these challenges that are just waiting for that conversation.
So you mentioned every lender has a responsibility of lending responsibly to people. Is that everything? Credit cards, every form of debt? Every
single form of debt. So the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, they have very strong guidance on this. And of course, you would hope that every lender would feel that responsibility, and wouldn't want people to get into difficulty, because it's not a very good commercial model if you lend to people and then they can't pay it back. So there's a balance there, but the most important thing is talk to the lender. I understand that people might feel embarrassed, but there's a lot of people throughout their lives will have had challenges like this. If you speak about it early, you can deal with it.
Do you think that's, one of the problems that we have today? I mean, back in the day when I first started my own business and I borrowed money, there was always a local bank manager, a local building society. You kind of knew them, you had a relationship with them, you could talk about issues, and it seemed a lot easier then to talk to people that you're borrowing money from. Whereas now it's not quite the same, is it? You know, we tend to. Some people have internet banking and all that sort of stuff, and it's lost that personal touch.
I agree with you, and I know if my father was sitting here, he would have agreed with you as well, because he was a funeral undertaker and used to go and ask the local bank manager whether it was a good idea to buy a new hearse.
Yeah, exactly.
And that local service, you know, you're right, it has diminished to a degree. The other side of that coin is, though, that there's much more information available online to get you to start to think and get you to start to talk. And also there are teams of people ready and willing and waiting to listen and to try and find the best solution.
Right. Can you ever see a time where that sort of service, face-to-face, would come back, do you think? I mean, maybe it does in your case, local building society?
It does in a local building society like ours. You know, we've got our 9 branches, and there are people in there that, you know, would want to have a discussion that would help the local consumer. We have as an industry, however, got a little bit more faceless. But the desire is still there to help, the need to help. The regulation is stronger now than it's ever been, encouraging lenders to work with consumers. So don't let that lack of face-to-face contact put you off.
Money Matters on FOSS 107 with Hinckley and Rugby Building Society.